Accutane.
All right.
That's enough. Hello. For this week, I just wanted to make a bit more personal video, more so a video for myself. I just wanted to talk about my experience with Accutane, since these kind of videos did help me a lot, and they just kind of served as a great support on, getting to know what's to come and what's in store, what you should expect. So shout out to Brian Turner. He was a big YouTube channel that dealt with Accutane and all that, and he dealt with more severe acne than I had personally. And he went on Accutane for, I forget, but this guy basically went on Accutane for a year, and this dude just logged everything, and he acted as like a conduit for people to discuss how they feel about Accutane, their personal experiences. And I think he's got to be one of the best people on YouTube and just most genuine people for what he did, because this guy really didn't care about his acne. He didn't care how it affected him. He was just himself, and he just brought just a positive energy, and it was very motivating watching his videos and inspiring. Another great support was r/Accutane. Shout out. Acted as a quick way to find information, ask questions, get firsthand experiences from a multitude of people. And it was great. It's a great community, and I mean, everyone's in it together on what they're going through. So everyone could relate. Everyone's helpful because people understand what other people are going through. So I guess we'll just go on a whole timeline. I'm kind of a distracted person, so this may sway around. So it probably all starts, I could probably boil it down to middle school, around 7th, 8th grade. That's when I guess my acne started to come, but it wasn't on the level that I had that led up to me taking Accutane. This was just, you could chalk it up to hormonal acne, just every kid has it, spots here and there, not a big deal. And then that continued into high school. I mean, it's hard to say if it got a little bit worse, but it was still on the level where it's like, oh, this is just surface level acne, something everybody goes through. It didn't really hit its stride until my junior year. In the winter, I remember my face flaring up on the sides, on the cheek areas, which would later become my biggest problem spots. And it just started to ramp up. It hadn't evolved into the cystic acne that I would have later on in the coming year. It was around ending of the school year, so beginning of spring, that it started to roll into the full effect that it would until I would start and finish Accutane. The thing with me, I don't know if this is an odder thing, but acne didn't really affect me in my psyche. I was still confident in myself. It didn't really push me out of social situations or make me think like, oh, I can't do this, or I can't go out today because I look like this. For some reason or the other, it didn't really weigh on me. I think that's in part to just my mentality behind it, because my brother had acne and it just kind of rolled around. So I kind of expected the same thing. I expected it, just go through the rough and then it fades away. So anything in between didn't really mess with me. I was just like, oh, well, it's a whatever thing. Everyone goes through it. It's gonna roll around. So it's just a temporary thing. But that was also a double-edged sword, because putting it off also made it worse. Not really acknowledging it for the gravity of the situation that I was really pulling was also a bad thing. I guess that's where I failed. Maybe too much confidence in having action to do something about it, because I didn't get that out of me until actual consequences started showing up. And those consequences come in forms of the acne scars. Now we go past graduating high school and all that, and we start to hit the 2-year mark, because I've had the cystic acne. It's a 3-year span, basically exactly 3 years of having it. Yeah, I hit that 2-year mark. So that's when I rolled around to using over-the-counter medicine prescribed by a dermatologist. I went in, and due to my circumstances at the time, I thought I was going into the Air Force, so they'd only allow topical creams. That kind of sucked, because I remember going into the dermatologist at the time. They said Accutane is the answer to your condition. They acknowledged, like, these topical creams may help, but more likely than not, it's not going to do it for you, since the kind of acne that I had was marked on the moderate to severe side of cystic acne. So this was like deep skin that the topical could never reach. So that did eat away at me, because I knew I was only restricted to topical. and I've used it before, and it didn't even help in the prior stages before the cystic acne. So this was kind of like just a pipe dream, just doing something to do something. So I applied that, and benzoyl peroxide sucks. All it did was make my face red, and it didn't do much for me. It just irritated. And there was a point where it was like, I don't know, I was maybe like 3-4 months in, and it just wasn't doing anything. It wasn't even like holding it back at that point. It was just my acne would fluctuate as if I was never even on it. So like I quit, and then it actually almost seemed like it got better after I quit benzoyl peroxide, just because of the irritation and redness that dropped, and also the acne. I feel like, I don't know, this could have just been me liberating myself from that terrible medication, but it seemed like my acne got slightly better, maybe due to the lack of irritation, all that, and reducing inflammation. I kind of quit on that and, just resorted to the basic, just wash your face, don't touch your face. Down the line of last year, unfortunate news, I wasn't able to go to the Air Force, which is a terrible thing, but hey, the biggest failures open up the biggest opportunities. Quote that. Put my name under that. Your boy, the best life advice in the game. This allowed me to take Accutane, and this was the golden ticket, because I remember at this time, with the months leading up to the fact of me taking Accutane, that's when it got to its worst point. But it wasn't the acne that was getting worse. The acne was staying the same, but it's something that I realized was the consequences of the long-term cystic acne was the scarring was starting to appear. It was weird. I can't really pinpoint it to an exact time, but I remember, like, it wasn't gradual. It was like within a week, but for some reason, I don't know what it was. Maybe we changed the lighting somewhere when I looked in the mirror. Maybe a change in perspective. Maybe an enlightenment. I don't know, but I remember looking in the mirror and just being like, holy hell, what is going on? And it like hit me. It hit me hard. That's the first time that I would say acne has really affected me at all, because prior was just like, yeah, maybe it would affect my psyche if I really sat down and thought about it, but this was just like, just snapped like immediately. Something triggered in my head when I looked, and I was like, this needs to, like, this almost has turned into a number one priority in my life. Just do anything at all costs to stop it. And I'd say that period was the worst. That's when it started to be serious, because again, the having acne, having red spots and whatever, that was no problem. Dealing with zits and whatever, I don't know, the aesthetic of it didn't really affect me that much, because I feel like I could just get through it. But the acne scars represented something that, it's, of course, it's gonna stick with me. It's not like acne where, eventually it's gonna go away. It's something that will fade away. In some cases, maybe not, but in a lot of cases, the acne will eventually somehow leave. But the scars are permanent. The scars are for life, and they'll serve as like an immediate reminder of like what you went through. And yes, it's like character building, because yes, it represents a history and kind of shows what you've been through, makes you stronger through that. But for me, it was something different. It was because I only envision acne as a temporary thing, so I don't want anything attached to it going into my future. So this was a big deal to me. See it as maybe being a bit like, I don't know the right word, rabbit, but it was a bit heart-wrenching to me, because yeah, again, this is something I wanted to leave in the past and overcome it, but this was starting to become a lifelong reminder, or soon to be lifelong reminder of what I've been through. So yeah, I started Accutane in December. Just to give a background, I started it at mid-ish December, and I started at 40 milligrams a pill a day. And by the way, I'm male and 165 pounds. The plan was 6 months. So, estimated time of finish was sometime in June. Isotretinoin. Week 1, day 1 and day 2, I did have some migraines or some head pressure. was decent in the first day, and then the second day it kind of faded down. I know one side effect is like head hemorrhaging and head pressure, so it could have been dangerous, but I think it was just on the basis of my body getting used to such a powerful medication. So I kind of blew it off, and that didn't show up through any time other than getting the increase in dosage. And when I got the increase in dosage after month 1, there was just the very slightest amount of migraines on the first day of bumping it up. But yeah, I could kind of knock that out. I did not have any migraines or head pressure attributed to Accutane, since that faded away in the second day. So yeah, nothing other than that happened in week 1 and on to week 2. And that's when things started to ramp up. That's when my face started getting dry, my lips started getting dry, and also I got spontaneous nosebleeds. And that lasted for a couple weeks, and then went away, the spontaneous nosebleeds. So it wasn't that big of a deal, and they didn't happen crazy often, but it was annoying because it felt like no other nosebleed. It would just boom. I wouldn't even feel the drip down, when you have enough time to like tilt your head back and catch it. No, just straight up, just after the 2 weeks or week of spontaneous nosebleeds, it did mature into I would wake up in the morning and my nose would be crusted over. Like, I wouldn't have bled on anything. It just like, I guess my nose just like filled up like a pool and then drained with blood every night, because as nasty as it sounds, my nose would be filled with like blood boogers and just loogies and just crusted all over. But it wasn't that big of a deal, since I would just go in to the shower, blow it out, clean it out, and it was good for the rest of the day. So that lasted for a good like 2.5 months. It lasted a while, I remember. But yeah, the dryness came in. That's to be expected, and it was something entirely to get used to, because I've never really kept up with something like that, and you're just immediately hopped to moisturizing what seems like every couple to every few hours, especially the face. And that was something definitely to get used to. Again, was the dry lips. That was for sure something to get used to, because right off the bat, you need to be like, well, I was using Burt's Bees chapsticks, which sucks at keeping your lips actually moisturized. So that was like a every 10-minute sort of thing. By the end of month 1, I kind of figured out what worked and what didn't work. Of course, I dropped the Burt's Bees because it sucked. My friend recommended me to Blistex, which is a and that turned the lip application into like every hour to maybe even 2 hours sometime application, rather than the 10 minutes. And I recommend it highly to anyone. This has worked like no other. It was straight up working tenfold. And compared to other brands that do the same thing, Blistex beats them out. The thing that's different about it is it's a lip ointment, so you need to apply it on your finger and just rub it in your lips. It could get annoying, like especially if you're working, because for me, I remember I worked at a theater. So, I was always dealing with just grabbing things. So I need to wash my hands or find a glove and just do it every time. And I think that attributed me to getting sick, because no matter how hard I tried or washing my hands or something, it's still the equivalent of putting your finger in your mouth, because it's going on your lips, and then your lips are eventually going to get in contact with your inside of your mouth. So I got sick like 5 to 6 times while on Accutane. So, and then along with the lotion, I was using the like Cetaphil made for acne. Like a lot of these products that are made for like acne users, for some reason they don't really work that well. And that just actually burnt my face. I don't know if it's just like a personal allergic reaction or hyperallergenic. The same thing, I don't know. But that was like burning my face when I applied it. Like I'd actually get a sting, and then it would leave my face redder than it already was. I switched to Crive. Get a load of this. But yeah, that concluded month 1. I mean, not bad. It's all a learning experience in month 1 for sure. Month 2, this is when I was anticipating my initial breakout, because I read online everywhere that, and even the dermatologist told me that it's gonna get worse before it gets better. So I was just waiting for that, and it wasn't until like the second week of going on to month 2 that my initial breakout started. And yes, it was the most terrible acne I've ever had. I need to switch to electrical razor because I've never had such an uneven texture caused by acne. Yes, it was terrible to look at, on top of my face being red as hell, which again is my biggest pet peeve of Accutane at the end of the day was the redness, because yeah, I say it doesn't affect my self-confidence, but it just gives you this odd look, especially for me since I have more fair skin tone. The red just gets exaggerated and it looks like I'm nervous, sweating, just holding my breath the whole time. It just looks terrible for photos. So if you're maybe going through the Accutane phase, maybe avoid the photos or do photos in the dark. No flash. The acne got at its worst state, and you know, it didn't phase me. It was kind of like the same mentality I had when I had the acne earlier, before treatment. I knew this time that I was reaching an objective. I knew that this acne would go away for sure. I knew it was gonna go from worse to good. So that didn't phase me. And this time is a guarantee. It wasn't my blind strength of optimism that was just carrying me through like an indefinite cycle. This time I knew it was coming to an end. So it didn't phase me like at all, because I knew we're going to reach an end goal, and the end goal is going to be the exact opposite of what I'm going through. So yeah, it maybe affected me in the way where it's like, oh, bro, I'm probably not going to open up Snapchat and flip it to the selfie cam, because I'm going to be looking at a red solar giant. So yeah, I know that people will be affected strongly, especially if you have like a history of being affected by your acne prior. This may affect you beyond that point, because this is the worst acne that you'll probably have ever. Good thing it lasts not that long. It's a temporary thing, but that's the best piece of advice I could give. Stay optimistic. Know that you're reaching an end goal, and you're gonna get there. And this is just a process that everybody who goes on Accutane mostly goes through. There's some that are gifted and don't go through the initial breakout, but it's just a test of endurance. So at this point, I know some people quit the medication. Just don't. Just think to the end. Your boy, again, coming at you with the life advice. Actually, don't take life advice from me. I don't really recommend it myself. Month 2 was coming to a close, just dealing with the initial breakout. Nothing really more had popped up side effect wise. It was just still dealing with the dryness and all that, and just getting more used to always having lotion on you or anywhere you go. Definitely always having some kind of lip ointment on you as well. Then we hit month 3, and around halfway of month 3, that's when the initial breakout was fading down significantly, to the point where you're getting to the state of equal acne or better than when I started, which was great. I only endured that initial breakout for maybe 3 to 4 weeks. So not bad at all. But yeah, month 3 also came with the biggest surprise as well. So, okay, warning, heads up. I'm going to put a little timestamp down below, or what direction will I edit this? Right there to skip to, because this is going to get a little graphic and in-depth, but this is the honesty that I want to provide to you, just to kind of give you a heads up on maybe the rare experience that you might have. I don't think there's any other way to put it. My damn butthole was bleeding. Now, hold your horses. Let me get into more detail. So I remember, yeah, sometime during month 3, did the business and started wiping, and then the shock on my face when I turned around and saw the toilet paper marked up red. I don't know. At first, I couldn't believe it. And what was running through my head is those side effects that you hear about Accutane causing gastrointestinal issues. So my heart sank. But I didn't think, for some reason, how I was thinking was like, I didn't think much of it. So I was just like, oh, okay. I'm going to just go now and not think about it and let the couple days pass. But as a couple days passed, like I was like stuck in between, like, oh my God, should I tell my doctor? Like what is this? What's gonna happen? But I recommend telling your doctor if something like this happens, because it's probably for the best. But me personally, I derived it down and found out that it was actually the skin above the hole that was getting dry and actually teared from the dryness. Again, this was the most uncomfortable side effect out of all of Accutane. Yeah, I dodged back pain, but traded it for a teared butthole. But it was properly maintained after proper moisturizing, so I started moisturizing it, and sooner or later, within a week, it started to fade away. And as long as I kept it constantly moisturized, just like on a daily basis. So it was a relatively scary issue that was just eased down with regular moisturizing, which really is the answer to a lot of things that come up on Accutane, since it's just dryness. And the great thing with enough moisturizer, anything will moisturize. On a lighter note, Accutane also gave me my first experience with eczema, and that started popping up along my arms. And at first I was kind of worried a bit because for some reason I've never seen eczema before, so these patches started coming up. And again, not a big deal. I just started lathering them in lotion and they went away. Again, more lotion is usually the solution. So month 4 comes along and my skin starts clearing up quite significantly. It's recovering from, a whole initial breakout. And I'd say it's getting to like 80% completion. And it was an amazing feeling because for the first time in a long time, I could run my hand over my face and I could feel nothing. There was nothing in some points. There was nothing under, nothing rising over the top, no codone. Is that the right word? I can't remember. In month 4, again, smooth sailing. As everything got under control, the frustration of having a red face was still going on, because that honestly at the end of the day ended up being like the worst side effect for me, because nothing you could do could reduce the red face. Great news with month 4, the doctor concluded that I just need a 5th month and I should be good. And yeah, throughout month 4, month 5, it was just literally keeping up with everything, making everything was moisturized. Nothing new came up. And yeah, month 5 came around, got down to the last pill, and that was it. I was clear. It was satisfying taking that last pill, because this was such like, I remember counting every time. Every time I opened up a pill, I was like, okay, how many days left? And we finally hit the last day. Now the game was just waiting it out for my whole body to return to normality. And I would chalk it up to 3 to 4 weeks for my lips to return to the point where I did not need to moisturize them. My face took longer, 5 to 6 weeks, to get to the point of where without moisturizing wouldn't be a death sentence of flaking. Even though I still carried my habits of moisturizing, like as soon as I get out the shower, I moisturize now, and moisturize at night as well, just because it's such a simple thing to do in your routine. It takes less than a minute, and also just doing it so often on Accutane ingrained that habit into me, and it's a great habit to have anyways. So I was happy about that. The redness, I would say, took in total around 2 months to fade down. And then yeah, all other dryness that I talked about, the specific dryness that I talked about, that also took a little over, it was less than 2 months. I think it coincided with the face, because that and the face were like the driest things that definitely needed to be kept moisturized. So yeah, now I'm 4 months, almost 4 months post Accutane, and I just literally had only small zits, nothing on the level of cystic. They gave me a retinol gel after the fact, and I just apply that every other day, and that keeps everything in check. But yeah, what's nice about that retinol gel is not only does it keeps everything in check, it also kind of helps with scarring, since vitamin A derivative. It breaks down the skin, increases the healing process. So I do have a few like deeper scars around that it won't help, but for the surface level, it does a good job polishing off. I think I basically wrapped it up. I'm glad to help people out, because again, like I said, this would have helped me a ton. I would have loved to watch something like this. If you liked it, go ahead and smash that like button. If you want to watch more content that's not as depressing and personal as this, go ahead and subscribe to my channel. Love you all, and thanks for watching.